Got a few. Yeah. Okay, we're live, so I'll begin shortly. Just watching the attendees roll in here. Okay, looks like we're ready to go. I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Albany City Council for Monday, December 7th at a little after 7:30 p.m. And our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. And Councilmember Nason, would you be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Next item of business is roll call. City Clerk, please.
Councilmember Barnes.
Present.
Councilmember Moss.
Here.
Councilmember Nason.
Present.
Vice Mayor McQuaid.
Here.
And Mayor Pilch.
Present. Thank you. And we'll move on to ceremonial matters. To begin with ceremonial matters, I just have a short statement to read about the current state of the world and our city and the state with regard to COVID. We do have new restrictions in place. Please take them seriously. Playgrounds, outdoor dining and hair salons are closed, among other things. It's very unfortunate that we've had to slide back here, but the information about what is closed and what is not is available on our website. The link to that was included in our e-news. Make sure to support your local businesses with takeout and delivery, the local restaurant businesses, that is. And put your mask on. And if it's not snug enough so that it keeps coming down below your nose, you can gather it behind your ears. You can tie it a little bit to make it snug enough, and make sure you have a recent version of a mask and that it's double layer. Wear it all the time. Just put it on when you leave the house and keep it on until you return to your house. Finally, State Senator Nancy Skinner is holding a town hall tomorrow, and you can find information about that town hall. I believe it starts at 4 p.m. On her website. So hang in there, but thank you for doing your part to keep us all safe. And I believe the Vice Mayor had a few words as well.
Thank you, Mayor. Today, we remember the attack on Pearl Harbor and the United States declaring war on Japan and entering World War II. The war effort required enormous sacrifice from all Americans. Women joined the workforce in great numbers and in new ways. There was rationing of gas, meat, and other necessities. Families were devastated by the deaths and injury of loved ones in faraway places. Every facet of American life was disrupted. Today, with so many suffering under the global enemy of COVID-19, we are asked to wear a mask, postpone big gatherings, and wash our hands. And so many feel this is government overreach and an affront to their personal freedoms. We hear, it is so hard. The greatest generation would be so disappointed. We're now under regional stay-at-home order, and we need to do everything we can to stop the spread of this virus. I know this is hard, especially on our small businesses, our students, and their families. But we need to protect our hospital workers and not let the hospitals and medical systems become overwhelmed. While outdoor dining is now prohibited, you can still get takeout or delivery. Our small businesses are always there when we're asking them for donations, either for the schools, for our nonprofits, for everything in our city. And it's our turn to support them now. Your holiday shopping at a local small business may be the gift that keeps them in business. It's time to demand that Congress do their job and pass a relief bill to help our businesses, local government, and family. Please reach out to our local federal representatives this week. It's so critical that we all get this aid. We will get through this crisis, but it'll be easier if we all join together and take care of each other. This is an opportunity to rethink how we can make our communities more just for everyone, a time not to return to what was, but to listen to our better angels to make life better for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. I enjoyed your statement very much. And were there any other council members who wanted to make a general statement at this time before we get into the proclamations and such? Seeing none, we will move into the proclamations, and I would love it to do it this way if the council agrees. I'd like to take the Diverse Housing Working Group proclamation first, allow a speaker to accept it on behalf of the Diverse Housing Working Group, and then take public comment on that item. Next, I'd like to take the 4 electeds all together, reading each proclamation separately, and after each proclamation, allowing that elected to speak immediately after the proclamation, and then moving on to the next proclamation and allowing that elected to speak, so on until we do 4 of those. And then at the end of that, to take general comment from the council members and staff and the public. Would that be okay with everyone? And did I make sense? If so, just let me know if it's confusing along the way, and we'll start with the proclamation for the Diverse Housing Working Group. And I will go ahead and, oh no, I believe I had asked I believe I was designating myself as the one to read this one. And it reads as follows. It's the City of Albany Proclamation in recognition of the Diverse Housing Working Group. Whereas the Diverse Housing Working Group, also abbreviated as DHWG, unfortunately dog, that spells dog, is a community-based effort to engage and educate local organizations and individuals about the need for diverse housing resources in Albany. And whereas DOG recognizes that a strong community includes people from all walks of life and income levels, and whereas DHWG members did early outreach and encampments, and whereas DHWG members brought those experiencing homelessness to professional services such as housing specialists and medical care, and whereas DHWG members distributed nourishing food to those experiencing homelessness, and whereas a DHWG member first expressed public support for Satellite Affordable Housing Associates on what is now the Cleveland Avenue Affordable Housing Development, and whereas DHWG began operating a pilot program of community-supported showers at the Albany Aquatic Center by the 4th week of February 2016, and whereas DHWG acts in Albany and also regionally, participating in the Complete Count Committee for the Census and the East Bay Housing Organization's Affordable Housing Week, for example, and whereas DHWG has participated in the Solano Stroll, giving out information toolkits for Albany renters, homeowners, and residents in need of stable housing, and whereas DHWG aided the campaign for Measure N1, a ballot measure aimed at creating more sensible parking requirements that would enable more housing to be built, and whereas DHWG is offering free laundry once a week at Harry's Solano Cleaning Center in partnership with the Albany Community Foundation, and whereas DHWG successfully advocated for a drop-in center, and whereas DHWG contributed to discussions on the city's housing element, and whereas DHWG continues to provide information and resources to those who need it in the city of Albany, and whereas the Diverse Housing Working Group continues to contribute to discussions on housing in the city of Albany, therefore, the Albany City Council does hereby recognize and honor the Diverse Housing Working Group for their efforts on behalf of those experiencing housing instability and homelessness in the city of Albany. And I believe we do have a member of the public or member of the Diverse Housing Working Group who is going to accept on behalf. If that member is present, could they raise their virtual hand? And could they be promoted to participant or panelist, please? Go ahead, Mr. Aycock. Oh, you're still muted.
Did it
Mr.
work?
Aycock, looks like, yes.
Okay, okay, yes. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. First, I want to thank the City Council and City of Albany for this kind recognition. The work of the Diverse Housing Working Group is a community-wide effort. Many local organizations and individuals deserve thanks. These organizations include the St. Albans Episcopal Church and their Ina Lawrence Fund, the Church on the Corner, the Solano Community Church, the UCB Church, the Albany United Methodist Church, Albany Community Foundation, the Kiwanis Club of Albany El Cerrito, the Solano Avenue Association, and the Albany Chamber of Commerce. Individuals deserving recognition include founding members Alexa Hauser and her husband Terry Lamb, and other founding members including Julie Winkelstein, Carol O'Keefe, Amber Whitson, Paulo Curry, Alan Riffer, and Reina Ramadan. Peggy McQuaid, Francisco Papilla, the late Catherine Sutton, and the Alan Maris and Margie Marks, who have been with us from the very start until now. And of course, Jim and Beth Baller, who have provided valuable leadership to the shower program and to the Diverse Housing Working Group. I want to give special thanks to Harry Bruin, I believe, owner of the Solano Cleaning Center, and his gracious employee, Vilma Sanchez, who since the beginning have been washing the shower program towels for free. Finally, we'd like to thank the council and staff who have unanimously supported the SAHA project and continue to work on it. Most of all, we'd like to thank the people who have led us into their difficult lives and taught us more than we ever thought there was to know about surviving unhoused in our community. Some have been notable success stories, including Mama Bear, who hasn't been in the ER since she was housed in the city of Berkeley last year, Jeremiah, who is now our most active volunteer out in the community, Myron, Malia, and their baby Adelina are all on the Saha project in Oakland. And finally, Leah, who moved from her van to housing in Berkeley, but is unfortunately still struggling with health problems after many years living without housing. Lastly, we'd like to mention that we've been seeing far too many people die too young. Especially painful were the people we knew best, including Jeremiah's wife, Elaine Abanda Videa, and our friend Melinda Rogers. There were many others. Every year we contribute names to the annual recognition at Berkeley's First Congregational Church for the many local unhoused people who have died. Again, I want to thank Nick and the council for their recognition of our work.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aycock, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
You are.
Thank you. Thank you for accepting on behalf of the Diverse Housing Working Group. And I was, when it was brought to my attention that there had been no recognition yet for this group, I jumped at the opportunity to honor them. I've always been impressed that in this town, we have so many people willing to step up, willing to volunteer and give their own time for so many different causes, including this one. And I want to thank the group and thank you, Mr. Aycock, for coming and speaking to us and accepting the proclamation. Did any council members wish to say a few words at this time? If none, I'll go to public for public comment on this item. Oh, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor. Apologies, missed your hand.
No worries. I was slow getting my hand up. I had to change my screen. I just want to thank you all for your hard work over these many years. It is difficult work, and it's such a great example of what community members can do. And I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anyone else before public? Go ahead, Councilmember Moss.
Yeah, I would like to echo both the mayor and vice mayor's comments. I think it's very impressive to me that in this town that we care enough that a group as such as DOG can exist and really do stuff that helps people and gets and finds homes and services for some of the folks who just could be easily overlooked, particularly in this last year of crazy COVID. So thank you.
Thank you. And I see Councilmember Nason has her hand up.
And
Go ahead.
I just want to join in the expression of appreciation and admiration for the work that you all do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And looks like we have one speaker from the public. City Clerk, if you'd let that speaker into. Oh, we have a few more. Go ahead and raise your hand if you want to speak on this item, and the City Clerk will let you in one by one.
Hi, good evening. This is Jeremiah. I would like to say thank you to Antoinette for her donations, and also Susan. She's been a big part as well. I just want to say thank you to everybody's support, Jim, Beth, and countless of volunteers who appeared at the Albany Shower Program to help give people that are in certain situations, help them take showers. Showers are so essential. And I remember myself taking showers at the Albany pool multiple times. And what a great program with all the volunteers. And it's kind of sad that when COVID happened, there hasn't been a shower available in Albany since February. But we're doing the best we can as a community and working with the city to hopefully bring at least one shower to the city of Albany. And I just want to say thank you for all the volunteers. And there still are homeless people on Solano. You know, the professor makes wire sculptures. He really loves fettuccine Alfredo. So I try to give him that as much as I can. And, you know, there's so many people that were not mentioned, but they all deserve recognition for all their volunteer work in the city. And this goes to show that the community is looking for a way to volunteer. They're looking for an opportunity to give back. And I really hope in the future there's more ways for the citizens of Albany to volunteer and give back to their community, no matter what it is. It doesn't have to be for homeless people. It could just be for senior citizens, or even just for your neighbor, you know, maybe help take the trash cans back in, you know, or something like that, or help them out. So I just really appreciate all the time and all the energy everybody spent on this, because it takes a lot of work to sit and make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and put them in bags, because I did that myself a couple weekends ago. And it's a group effort. You know, it takes a village to raise one community member. And so let's not all give up, because I just want to let you know I appreciate everybody's help. And I know Elaine would be here making her public comment, thanking everybody. And I know Elaine would be giving everybody flowers. And at this time of year, she's be giving everybody mistletoe. And Elaine would also give everybody the most warm welcome hug. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, everyone. This is Brian Beal. I wanted to thank this group for their work, but also wanted to put it in perspective and talk about how important this work is. Prior to COVID-19, when I was commuting to North Berkeley for work, which consisted of walking, I walked through where a lot of homeless people hang out, and I watched, as the changes happened and how things seemed to get worse. And I kind of developed a little bit of feeling for, what life was like. And we went into COVID-19. Life's been rough for us, for all of us. But we have a home. So, everyone knows, what kind of changes and restrictions we've had. But take that and combine it with what homeless people were going through. And then, looking around, I'm concerned because I don't see as many of them now. Or maybe it's because I'm not out as much, but it seems like people are disappearing. And so, just kind of putting it all together and looking at what we've done this year as a city, it just seems like, this is something, we've accomplished so many things. This is something we really need to do more about. And, and again, thank you to this diverse housing work group for, setting, the pathway here. But I just feel like, we need a homeless shelter in Albany. We need more. We need to provide more for these people. So that's what I had to say. Again, thank you so much for your work.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Looks like we have no more public speakers, so I'll bring it back to the council. And thank you, Mr. Aycock, and we'll move on with the rest of the agenda. Thank you again. And thank the group. Yes? Oh, I'm sorry.
Although we don't respond to speakers, I think that it might be helpful in this particular circumstance, in case there are other people who are wondering why they see so many fewer homeless people in Albany, if the city manager could just speak very briefly about Project Room Key and what Albany has done to protect homeless people from COVID who seek that help.
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember Nason. Yes, Albany has two programs. One is Albany Cares, which is available to anyone seeking assistance. And that program connects people directly if they are seeking assistance with shelter or safe location, experiencing homelessness, with our Berkeley Food and Housing Project program. And over the course of the pandemic, we have been able to successfully shelter, I wish I had the current number, but I know it's at least 5 individuals in hotel rooms. And so that is an ongoing program, and Berkeley Food and Housing Project is incredibly active in our community and responsive to any call for assistance. So that is an ongoing program, and I can tell you, it has been successful, and we continue to fund that to make sure that we have that opportunity, especially during the pandemic.
Thank you for that, and that's great news. All right, moving on to the next proclamation. We have 4 electeds here, and I don't see Ms. Denton. Oh, she's an attendee right now. Hopefully we can promote her to panelist in short order. So what I'd like to do is to ask the Vice Mayor to read the resolution in appreciation of City Treasurer Kim Denton.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 2020-116, a resolution of the Albany City Council of the City of Albany in appreciation of Kim Denton for her service as the Albany City Treasurer. Whereas Kim Denton, previously known as Kim Fletcher, was elected to the office of Albany City Treasurer in April 1988 and served a 4-year term as the Albany City Treasurer. And whereas Kim Denton was re-elected to the office of City Treasurer every 4 years consecutively thereafter, and has served as the City Treasurer for the City of Albany through December 2020. And whereas, as part of her duties for the city, Kim Denton has served as the Chair of Police and Fire Pension Board and carried out the critical function to receive and safely keep all monies and securities belonging to the city, and also serve as ex officio tax collector. And whereas, even in her free time, Kim Denton has served the city as she volunteered to raise cancer awareness in our community by leading the Relay for Life event and organizing a team of city staff to participate in this community event. And whereas Kim Denton has also thoughtfully taken time out to volunteer each year to help support the Albany Fire Department pancake breakfast and open house, greeting everyone with open arms, as well as the Albany Police Department National Night Out event. And whereas in recent years, Kim Denton can regularly be found accompanied by a four-legged service companion who always helps bring cheer to those at City Hall. And whereas as a lifelong resident of Albany, Kim Denton provides an incredible historical perspective and recollection for all to learn from. And whereas during Kim's 32 plus year terms, the city of Albany has been well served by Kim's dedication, expertise, and positivity. Now therefore be it resolved that the Albany City Council hereby extends its appreciation to Kim Denton for her service as City Treasurer of the City of Albany. Signed, Nick Pilch, Mayor.
Thank you, and congratulations, City Treasurer Denton. And at this time, I'd like to ask if you'd like to say a few words. Oh, and there's your plaque
Nice.
showing up on the screen.
Oh, how nice. Thank you. Thank you for this recognition, and also to Nicole for having my Zoom gathering last week. I appreciate that a lot. As I leave the city, I have two thoughts. Small cities can make it through tough times like this by always being frugal with our taxpayer dollars and always putting funds into reserve to help during these hard times. Treasurers should not work for recognition when keeping and investing public funds, but instead practice solely safety first, liquidity second, and then comes yield. I'm proud to say that I've done this throughout my years as your city treasurer, and I thank our citizens for giving me the opportunity to serve them.
Thank you, City Treasurer. And what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and move on to the next proclamation, give that elected a chance to speak, and then at the end, we'll open it up for comments from everybody. So the next person would be Michael Barnes, and I have asked Councilmember Nason to read his proclamation.
All right, this is resolution number 2020-113, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Albany in appreciation of Michael Barnes for his service on the Albany City Council. Whereas Michael Barnes was elected to the office of City Council in November 2012 and served a 4-year term as member of the City Council. And whereas Michael Barnes was re-elected to the office of City Council in November 2016 and served another 4-year term through 2020. And whereas during his terms, Michael Barnes has served the city as council member and as vice mayor. And whereas Michael Barnes also represented the city by serving on regional bodies as appointee and or alternate appointee to the Alameda County Transportation Commission, the Association of Bay Area Governments, the League of Cities East Bay Division, and the East Bay Sports Field Recreational Joint Powers Authority. And whereas Michael Barnes also found time to help maintain the well-being of the city's commercial streets, of San Pablo and Solano Avenue by volunteering with the Blue Glove Crew, comprised of members of the Albany Chamber of Commerce and Solano Avenue Association. And whereas over the years, Michael Barnes has closely followed legislative matters with a keen interest in regional housing initiatives and the application of such proposed legislation in the city of Albany. And whereas Michael Barnes has volunteered his time to contact members of the community, including seniors and local businesses, at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic to check in and ensure the well-being of our Albany community. And whereas during Michael Barnes' terms on the City Council, the Council has addressed a significant number of important issues and programs, including but not limited to approval of a disposition and development agreement to develop a city-owned parcel for an affordable housing project of 60 units of 100% affordable housing, the construction and opening of Peggy Thompson Pierce Street Park, the Albany Loop art installation on the Ohlone Greenway, the approval of a complete streets plan for Solano Avenue, and the launch of a specific plan for San Pablo Avenue. And whereas, having served 2 consecutive terms, Michael Barnes was unable to run for a 3rd consecutive term and is leaving the City Council. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Albany hereby extends its appreciation to Michael Barnes for his service as council member and vice mayor of the City of Albany. And this is signed by the four council members other than Council Member Barnes.
Thank you for that reading. And Council Member Barnes, would you care to say a few words?
Well, it's been real. That's what all I can say. Actually, I'm kind of tired tonight, so I hope I don't nod off. But it's been a great experience. So thank you, everyone, for indulging me and sharing your thoughts. And we wish those of you who are continuing on, we wish you the best. I'm going to be on vacation.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so we'll move on to the next one. And the next is a resolution in appreciation of City Council Member Peter Moss. And I'm going to go ahead and read that one. If you give me a moment. Okay, Mr. Moss, Pete, resolution number 2020-114, resolution of the City Council of the City of Albany in appreciation of Peter Moss for his service on the Albany City Council. Whereas Peter Moss was elected to the office of City Council in November 2012 and served a 4-year term as member of the City Council, and whereas Peter Moss was re-elected to the office of City Council in November 2016 and served another 4-year term through 2020, and whereas during his terms, Peter Moss has served the City Council as member, vice mayor, and mayor, and whereas Peter Moss has represented the city by serving as an appointee or an alternate on several regional bodies, including the Alameda County Transportation Commission, the Association of Bay Area Governments General Assembly, the Waste Management Authority, the East Bay Sports Field Joint Powers Authority, the League of California Cities East Bay Division, the East Bay Community Energy Joint Powers Authority, and the Housing Authority of Alameda County. And whereas Peter Moss has also represented the city at the Alameda County Mayor's Conference during his service as mayor, and whereas Peter Moss has also helped increase youth engagement within the City of Albany by helping facilitate a youth and government forum for the City Council in coordination with Vice Mayor Peggy McQuaid, and whereas Peter Moss volunteered his time to contact members of the community, including seniors and local businesses, at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic to check in and ensure the well-being of our Albany community. And whereas Peter Moss's terms on the City Council, during Peter Moss's terms on the City Council has addressed a significant number of important items and programs, including but not limited to approval of a disposition and development agreement to develop a city-owned parcel for the affordable housing project of 62 units of 100% affordable housing, the construction and opening of Peggy Thompson Pierce Street Park, the Albany Loop art installation on the Ohlone Greenway, the approval for a complete streets plan for Solano Avenue, and the launch of a specific plan for San Pablo Avenue. And whereas, having served 2 consecutive terms, Peter Moss was unable to run for a 3rd consecutive term and is leaving the council. Therefore, be it resolved that the council at the City of Albany hereby extends its appreciation to Peter Moss for his service as council member, vice mayor, and mayor of Albany, signed the remaining council members. Councilmember Moss, would you care to say a few words? And there's the plaque there too.
Great. Thank you, Nick. Yeah, I didn't really prepare much other than it's been great. It's been the honor of my life to get to serve on a city council, particularly here in Albany, a community that I think is really far ahead of many around the Bay Area. And I've lived in a few places around the Bay Area. If you had asked me 7.5 years ago, was being on city council on my agenda, I would have said, I don't think so. And so I kind of arrived at running a bit reluctantly at the time, but I certainly haven't regretted it since I got on council. And, it's been interesting, and, there are so many memories. I mean, many mentioned in the resolution, but whether it was the cross on Albany Hill, trying to figure out how to deal with the homeless population at the Albany Bulb, or some, just many things. And I could make comments on some of the things listed, but I'll leave that for the Albany Historical Society to figure out at some point. It's been an honor, and I'll keep track of what's going on in Albany. You'll probably see me on making comments. I'm hopeful that for the remainder for Rochelle and Peggy, who are remaining on council, and for the new council people, that very quickly we get out of COVID and get off the Zoom mode. I personally found it a lot more interesting and fun to be there in person, seeing everybody, as opposed to seeing little squares on a screen, which hasn't been nearly as interesting. But we'll see what 2021 brings, and hopefully I'll be around to see it all happen once it's in person again.
I'm sure you will be. Thank you for that.
And I was going to say, I'm going to jump in now and take over for a few minutes, with your permission, Mayor.
Thank you. Please.
Not really a coup here. I have the privilege of reading the resolution for Mayor Pilch. Resolution number 2020-115, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Albany in appreciation of Nick Pilch for his service on the Albany City Council. Whereas Nick Pilch was elected to the office of Albany City Council in November 2014 and served a 2-year term as a member of the City Council following the passage of Mayor Peggy Thompson. And whereas Nick Pilch was reelected to the office of City Council in November 2016 and served another 4-year term through 2020. And whereas during his terms, Nick Pilch has served the city as council member, vice mayor, and as mayor. And whereas Nick Pilch has represented the city by serving as appointee and/or alternate on several regional bodies, including the Association of Bay Area Governments General Council, the Alameda County Transportation Commission, the East Bay Community Energy Joint Powers Authority, and the Waste Management Authority. And whereas Nick Pilch has also represented the city at the Alameda County Mayor's Conference during his service as mayor. And whereas during Nick Pilch's terms on the City Council, the council has addressed a significant number of important issues and programs, including, but not limited to, approval of a disposition and development agreement to develop a city-owned parcel for an affordable housing project of 62 units of 100% affordable housing, the construction and opening of Peggy Thompson Pierce Street Park, the Albany Loop art installation on the Ohlone Greenway, the approval of a complete streets plan for Solano Avenue, and the launch of a specific plan for San Pablo Avenue. And whereas as Mayor, Nick Pilch has actively participated in regional conversations and engaged with the Alameda County Public Health Department regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas having served 2 consecutive terms, Nick Pilch was unable to run for a 3rd consecutive term and is leaving the City Council. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Albany hereby extends its appreciation to Nick Pilch for his service as council member, vice mayor, and mayor of the city of Albany, and is signed by the 4 other council members. Would you like to say something?
Yes, thank you very much. And I'll try to follow in the footsteps of the other outgoing council members and be somewhat brief, although I did jot down a few notes. Well, it's been my privilege, pleasure, and honor to serve on the city council, especially this city council, which I think we all agree and which many have remarked has been a well-functioning city council without a lot of drama, without a lot of rancor. We've disagreed with each other, but are able to vote and move on. And I've really, really appreciated that. I want to thank the staff. Thank you for producing these proclamations for us. And just thank you for doing our bidding. We say, and you have to do it. And I don't forget that. And I appreciate the hours you have to put in doing just that and honoring all my little requests that I've had as mayor as well. I really appreciated the things that I've been able to do as part of being a member of the city council. I've brought better digital access. I'm so proud and so happy to have worked on the soda tax. I have a memory of that. Didn't know that was ever going to come to be. I have a memory of leaving the city council chambers after one seemingly frustrating session and telling the previous city manager, should I give up? And she said, no, you could do this, you could do that, and came back and we did it. And thank you to everyone who supported that. We got done the Measure D reform. We reformed parking limits in Albany. That was huge. And thank you to the whole council for being united behind that and being united behind the Saha project. Thank you for the council members' works on all of the ballot measures in the past, including the most recent ones. Thank you to Councilmember Barnes for having done the writing for ballot measures and having done the writing for the campaigns for these ballot measures. Proud that we have done these ballot measures. Proud that we've moved forward a community task force on policing. I've tried to be more of a regional council member as well as a local council member, reaching out to neighboring council members and board members of regional bodies. I've tried to embrace progressive policies and look out for what other cities are doing. I think that we have an opportunity now to continue this method of greater public participation. The BART board has now said that they will continue to do Zoom meetings even in the future when we don't have to, or some form of electronic participation, so that those who are stuck at home can actually participate in city council meetings. And I hope we can do the same. I'm proud to have been a voice for the San Pablo Avenue specific plan, and let's continue to be bold on that. I took a bike ride on Sunday out on the Albany Greenway, and I rode to Home Depot, look for some Christmas lights, and I saw two things on my way through El Cerrito. One is there's a Black Lives Matter painting on the Greenway. And number two, I saw new housing units being built. And some of them were more than 4 stories. They reached 6 stories, perhaps more. And I'm looking forward to a bold San Pablo Avenue specific plan in which we can reach the sky and build the sorely needed housing in the Bay Area as well. And so many memories. I'm so lucky to have been able to do this. But one last thing I'll leave you with, speaking of that Black Lives Matter mural, I think I'm not sure where that is in the process, but let's hopefully speed that along and do our own Black Lives Matter mural, because Black lives do matter, and let's not forget that as well. And I'll leave it there. And thank you, Vice Mayor, for stepping in. And now what I'd like to do is go to public comment. I saw that there was one hand, at least previously. So if the city clerk could let in the public commenters, please.
Hi, everybody. This is Brian Beal. All the 4 people leaving, I know, did a good job. So I don't, I think anyone was necessarily more important than the other. But the person I'd like to talk about first and the most is Nick Pelch. Nick was my first friend in Albany politics when I first got involved around 2014. He took leadership on the soda tax issue that I'm proud to have worked on with him, because it's important to educate children about healthier choices in drinks and the impact of some of those choices. I think that the key to getting that tax passed was copying something that had already been tried and done with the Berkeley city tax. The other item, the Albany sidewalk tax, this was a unique tax that we had, but it's not a unique problem. This is a problem in cities our age around the Bay Area, because simply the infrastructure, the sidewalks simply are going to start to deteriorate at this time. And it's a pain in the ass. You walk around town, and I want to be able to walk around town without worrying about it. I'm tall, I've got big feet, and if it's dark, I trip, I'll hurt my toes. So thank you, Nick. Look forward to seeing what you're going to do. Pete Moss, I think you provided a balanced view on the council and did a really good job as mayor. Personally, you gave me some good advice. Michael Barnes, I've worked with more recently, provided a scientific perspective and critical analysis of decisions. Most importantly of all, he appointed me to the Social and Economic Justice Commission. So, and that helped me to help Nick with some of his things. So that's how it comes around. And Kim, I hope you're still going to be around, running into you in town. But thank you for keeping our money safe and secure for all these years. So, and as to the council as a whole, I'll agree with a well-functioning council. I think it's not this two-sided thing that you would think a city council might be. Each of you have a unique perspective and skills that come to play. And you're able to get a lot done. So thank you, all of you. And also to Rochelle and Peggy as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Hi, this is Preston Jordan. This is bittersweet seeing you all leave, but of course that's the wishes of the voters to have term limits. I want to thank Councilmember Moss for being the champion of Measure N1 in 2016. This is a measure that remanded control of off-street parking requirements back to the council, correcting a historic injustice back from the 1970s, and being in tune with where the voters were at on that. It passed with 65% of the vote, and we now actually see some construction happening as a result. There's 9 townhomes that have started construction at Portland and Keynes as a result of that reduction in parking requirements. So tangible results. Hope to see much more coming out of that. I know there's some other projects that have been proposed, so finally getting some housing moving again. And to Nick, it's been mentioned that the soda tax, again, had its finger on the pulse of the Albany voter. That passed with 72% support, and has paid for putting in the bottle filling stations in various places, as well as the crossing guards when UC pulled out its funding for that. So it turned out to be quite a critical tax to keep the students of Albany safe and active. And then to Nick for being a champion on the council for Measure BB for ranked choice voting. Again, this passed with 73% support, again, showing an awareness of what the voters of Albany wanted. And both Pete and Nick championing Measure DD in the form that it eventually took, which got 58% support, and it's going to provide the city with some funding that it can use for climate protection and emergency services, and otherwise keeping its finances whole. And finally, to Councilmember Barnes, I know we have our disagreements, but there are things that we agreed on. I appreciated your analysis of the different electrical supply products from EVCE, and calling into question whether Brilliant 100 actually was accomplishing what it purports to accomplish, and also recognizing that Albany needs to do better in terms of the low income provisions, their ability for people to qualify for those, to apply and qualify for those. Definitely helped to highlight that issue and get some progress there. And so hopefully we'll have more progress as well. So thank you all three very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Yes, I'm Peter Campbell from the Albany Property Rights Advocates, and I would like to express my appreciation to all 5 of the council members and the mayor for the input we've been able to give to you and the reception that you've given to our input. We appreciate the opportunity to work with you, and we're hoping that we'll be able to work with the new council members coming in as well. As we all know, housing is a very important issue everywhere, not just in Albany, but Albany can only deal with what it can deal with. And we hope that we will be considered a resource when you are discussing housing issues. The rental property providers are an important part of Albany's community and economy. And we would like to be able to continue to give you our input into these housing matters as they come up and as you discuss them. So thank you for all the good work that you've done over the years. And Mayor Pilch and Councilmember Barnes and Councilmember Moss, thank you for the work that you've done these past years, and look forward to your continued input as regular citizens in the years that come. So thank you very much, and look forward to the next coming years.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Hi, this is Jeremiah. Mr. Pilch, I just want to say thank you for your professional attire. Every single meeting, I always remember you wearing a suit and a button-up shirt and a tie. And, you're always very professional. And that's one thing I really do appreciate about you, is just the leadership and professionalism. And I could only imagine everywhere you went, all the meetings you went to meet other mayors and meet other people, you represented Albany well and professional, and you just always look good up there. So I just want to say thank you for that. And I just want to say thank you for Member Moss. You're such a fun guy, and you talk to the community so well. You're just a human. You're a person. And I'll never forget your bicycle, on Solano at dinner with Albany, and you always had your bicycle around, and that's one of my memories. And Councilmember Nason, yeah, we go way back, and I didn't know how close you were, but you did everything you could, and I just want to say thank you for your kind heart to Elaine, and you always really appreciated Elaine. She always mentioned you. And Mr. Barnes, you're one of a kind. I really love how you speak. You have this way about you. it's really professional. And I'm going to miss you on the council because every time you have something to say, I just like how you say it. I mean, you just have such a way about you to say things, and it's kind of unique for you. And Miss Peggy McQuaid, I've known you for over 20 years, and all the work you've done in the community, from being a photographer to the manager of the Albany pool, and look at you now. I mean, mayor, vice mayor. I mean, I've watched you grow as a citizen in the community. So I just want to say congratulations to all. And you were all elected because everybody knew you would do a great job. And thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. And I'd just like to take a moment. I'd like to go ahead and, as we return it back to council, say my words about the other electeds who are leaving us now. I was very happy to have been able to participate in Kim's going away party and say a few words there. But I just want to make sure that everyone heard that Kim's service has been 32 years in Albany. That's amazing. That's remarkable. And thank you for all your years of service. And thank you so much for making sure our money never sprouted legs and ran away. It was never pilfered, never lost. You took care of our money. That's what a responsibility, what such an important job. So thank you so much. To Councilmember Barnes, like one of the speakers, we've had opposite views as well. But I want to thank you for what you brought to the council, for your service, for sticking it out for 2 terms, because I believe I heard you say this in your run for your 2nd term, is that you felt that there were people in Albany who wanted to be represented by you. And that was proven by the fact that they did re-elect you for a 2nd term. And thank you again, as I mentioned before, for your writing work in writing the ballot measures and the campaign literature in the past 2 elections, and maybe more if I'm forgetting. So thank you for all that service. And Pete, yeah, I was going to, the public speaker took my lead, which was going to be thanking you for being the first to be out in front about the parking requirements, about reforming the parking requirements. And you had to wait a couple of years until you had a council that was confident that we should do this and could do this, and we did it. So thank you for being out in front on that one, and serving 2 terms as mayor, supporting the soda tax, and also your campaign work in this and past elections as well. And I think we're also very simpatico politically on the council, and I've appreciated your support and been very glad to be able to support you in your efforts as well. So thank you so much. And now I see our fellow council members have their hands raised, and Councilmember Moss, you are first in line.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, first off, I'd like to thank Kim for, again, her years of service to Albany. It's just phenomenal that you hung in on this for so long. But I also like to put out a personal thanks. As many of you know, Kim and I share the secret diabetic connection. And she has many times given me some great advice for both myself, but also, I think even more importantly, for my daughter, who's also type 1. And, I kind of miss seeing you around city, when we could go to City Hall and actually be in person, and I'd run into you and we'd chat. And I miss that. And perhaps it will happen, sometime this coming year when we're all safe and we're about, and it may not be at City Hall, but I'd love to catch up at some point. to my fellow 2 council members who are being termed out with myself, Michael, I have always appreciated your kind of very thoughtful and very fact-driven analysis of situations. I haven't always agreed with it, but I do believe you do the hard work of researching things and get down to the nitty-gritty of stuff. And likewise, Nick, I appreciate your enthusiasm and ability to kind of promote good ideas, that when you catch on to it, it's a good idea, you kind of go to the mat for them. And that's a good thing. And I'm sure you'll continue doing that in here in Albany and beyond. So again, it's been a great run as far as I can see. So I'll hand off.
Thank you for that. Next speaker in line is the city manager. Oh, you are muted. Sorry, are you?
There.
Should I come back to you, or?
No, I pushed my button too quickly there. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I got a chance to recognize the outgoing elected officials. Truly, this doesn't happen very often, as we're looking at an 8-year period of time, and 32 plus for Kim. Something that Kim Denton recently said that is resounding to me is that she entered the office of city treasurer with ethics and integrity, and she's leaving the exact same way. And I certainly applaud that and recognize that and appreciate it. And I know that she has led our city incredibly well over the last 32 plus years. So Kim, you've been just fantastic and really a true friend, and we will miss you very, very much. So please keep in touch. For the 3 outgoing council members, I just wanted to thank each of you for your leadership over the course of your respective last 2 terms. I personally have very much enjoyed working with each of you and sincerely appreciate your true dedication to the well-being of our city. We've seen that time and time again in your deliberations and the time you've taken to really consider issues. I'm also grateful for the support you have given me personally as your city manager, and that's something that I will always remember and respect and thank you for. A number of major items have crossed the dais while you've been on the city council, as reflected in your resolutions, and then some, of course. And I thank you again for your thoughtful discourse and ability to work through even the most challenging of situations, let alone the ongoing demands to navigate the current pandemic. It takes a lot of time and energy to serve as a council member, and sometimes the public and even staff don't necessarily see that, and I certainly do, and I appreciate all the blood, sweat, and tears you've put into your office, each one of you. Councilmember Barnes, Councilmember Moss, and Mayor Pilch. Again, thank you for your service and leadership.
Thank you, City Manager. And next, with her hand raised, is the Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I've sort of combined a few thoughts here. To Kim, I want to thank you not only for your many years of service as the Albany City Treasurer, but even more for your service to our community. You were so involved with the Albany Historical Society. We spent many hours in the basement of the library looking at old things. The Albany Education Foundation, you were on their board before I joined the board, but you were always willing to come and do scoops for schools or any of our fundraisers. You were always there. Relay for Life, you organized the entire city around that event. And that was, a wonderful event. And your work, of course, with Dogs for Diabetics is just so wonderful. And it's such a great program that we didn't know anything about, and we wouldn't know anything about except for you. And I'm really grateful that we know about it. So thank you for sharing your unwavering and buoyant spirit, your dogs, which I always love seeing the dogs, and probably most well, I don't know if it's most important, but certainly important was your carrot cake, which at the Zoom meeting, everybody mentioned the carrot cake. It hasn't come up here, but you know, you can always find us. You know where we are. We all want carrot cake. So don't be shy to come with a slice of cake. Nick, Michael, and Peter, thank you for your service as an Albany City Council members. Michael and Pete, you were already here when the rest of us joined the council, and I learned a lot from both of you. And I'm grateful to you both for your patience and for your support. And Nick, I think we probably worked together the most over these years through the League of California Cities and on other regional bodies. And I really appreciate that your statewide participation on environmental issues with the League. The past 6 years have just been an amazing experience. And I truly believe that Albany is better that each one of you served on the City Council. And thank you so much for your efforts. And you know, all you are now is just a council member emeritus, so you still have the wisdom and you still have the knowledge, and we'll be tapping you to hear from you as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Nason?
Well, I think it's all been said. I'm not going to make this any longer than it needs to be. I just want to say it's been a great pleasure serving with the three of you who are leaving the council. And of course, and I want to emphasize my agreement with what the Vice Mayor said at the end, that we are going to be staying in touch with you and asking for your wisdom and your advice and your participation going forward. I do think it's a terrific thing that we have so often, we have a group of people with a lot of different perspectives about a lot of different issues, but we've been able to work together very well, and I've enjoyed working with you all. Kim, I've looked up to Kim since high school, and it was a surprise and a joy to find you at the city. And what can you say about somebody who has put in that much work? Not just the work of the treasurer, but all of the fantastic volunteer work that has done so much for so many different efforts, and is so, to me at least, is just a classic bit of the best of Albany, and why part of what makes it so fortunate for so many people to have been able to live here, to grow up here, because people give so much of themselves, and that goes for everyone who serves on the council as well, by the way, since the council is essentially a form of volunteer work. So thank you, all four of you. It's much appreciated.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other remarks? And I do also want to second the sentiment that Kim's volunteer efforts have been amazing throughout the years, and thank you so much for being a prominent volunteer in the community as well. And okay, well, if we didn't have another more meeting to go, I'd say get out of here, all you knuckleheads, but we have to now go on with the meeting. So thank you everyone for all the kind words for everyone, and we'll move on to our next part of the meeting. Thank you, Kim, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, absolutely. All right, now I need to find my place. The next item on the agenda is item 4, report on action taken in closed session. There was no closed session at this meeting, so we'll move on to the consent calendar. The consent calendar, item 5, is taken to be routine and will be enacted in one motion unless the council member or members of the public or a member of the public wishes to pull an item for discussion. Is there any council member who would like to pull an item for discussion? Vice Mayor?
5-9.
5-9. Anyone else? Councilmember Moss?
Yeah, it was 5-9, but Peggy just
Okay.
beat to the point there. So
Okay. And anyone else? Any other items to be pulled from the agenda by council members? If not, let's go to the public and see if any member of the public wishes to pull an item.
This is Jeremiah. Can we pull 5-4 and 5-5, please? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So we'll pull 5-4 and 5-5 and 5-9. And seeing no other requests for pulling items, we'll move on to the item 5-4. And were there any, before we move to the members of the public, were there any council members who wanted to speak on this item? If not, we'll move directly to the member of the public who pulled that item. And if you'd let Mr. Pinguello in.
Hi, thank you very much. One of the things I've been working on for the past, I don't know, over 10 years was getting college students a discount to ride on BART. Over 10 years ago, I started a Facebook group called BART College Student Discount. And I would just hope with this new transportation system you're working on, it might include some sort of college student discount or just a high school student or middle school student discount. So when they use public transportation, they get some sort of discount. I know AC Transit has a 100% discount for college students, but still to this day, BART doesn't offer a universal college student discount. About 6 years ago, I met with the Berkeley City College president. It was this lady. I spoke with her, and then a few months later, she got Berkeley City College to get some sort of discount to ride on BART through, I guess, Cal Berkeley somehow. But we're still working on other college students to get a discount. So I hope with this transportation system, everybody that gets a discount, students would have priority because they're the core part of our community. They're the future of America. And, you know, we can't kick them while they're down because they haven't got a job yet. They're still in school to get a job. So why should they have to pay full price like a longshoreman with a great career? Thank you.
Thank you for that. And Mr. Pinguello, as long as you're there and you're the one who pulled 5-5, would you like to speak to that right now?
Okay. Are you able to make a comment on my comment for 5-4 or no?
Yes. Well, when I come back to the council, we can comment on both 5-4 and 5-5.
Okay. 5-5. Yeah. So the police, you know, want more money. They want to be approved to buy a leased car. You know, why didn't they just buy it in the first place? You know, it seems like a really old car. And 2016, we're going on to 2021 now. I mean, that car, you can't even drive Uber, you know, it's so old, you know, so I don't know why the police want to keep using it. So maybe we could pull that for a second reading and have that for more discussion. So maybe we can have that for the next city council to decide, because it seems kind of like the police chief's kind of pulling a fast one here just for asking for some money. So maybe we can get a second reading on that one and put that one on hold because we're underneath this police review committee. So I think before we give the police any more money, we should have more input on approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. So we'll bring it back to council at this point. We'll bring it back to council at this point, and I'll go ahead and speak to item 5-4. Yeah, I think that a unified system of who gets fair discounts, what the fares are, that you can use one system to pay for your fares. I think that's all part of the seamless Bay Area principle. So I think that's in those comments are in line with those principles. Did anyone else want to speak to 5.4 on the council? Seeing none, we'll take item 5.5. I have personal experience with this actually. I had a Ford, one of those Ford Fusions myself, and I leased it, and it was a Ford Fusion Energy, which is the plug-in hybrid. I believe this one is just the hybrid without the plug-in. But my personal experience was it was an extremely well-engineered car. I was very pleasantly surprised about owning that car, and the only reason I turned it in after the lease was over was because the electric part didn't give me as much mileage as I wanted, and so I got at least another one that gave me more miles, all electric. So I think it's actually it's a cheap price and a very smart move for the police department to purchase this vehicle out of lease, and it's only 4 years old, and I think that's the cars these days last a long time. I myself have a older than 20-year-old van sitting outside, so still going. Anyone else want to comment on 5.5? Other council members? Councilmember Moss.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I certainly have no problem with the police department getting this vehicle. The comment that this is old, I have much older vehicles that are still functional, and I certainly don't have a problem with that. I would hope that in the near future we start to turn all of our all the city vehicles into electric or at least hybrid going forward, and this seems like a start, but only a start. I see no reason why we would need much in the way of gas-powered vehicles for the police or for the city, in a city that's essentially a square mile. Electric should work pretty well.
Agreed. Thank you. And any other comments on 5.5? Seeing none, we've moved from 5.4 to 5.5. We'll move to 5.9. Would either Councilmember Moss or Councilmember Nason want to start the comments on this?
I could jump in. I mean, my main comment was, I'm sort of excited about this master plan. I'll be following it, and I would hope, and I've said this before, and I would hope that this master plan takes the opportunity to not only look at city parks and open space for recreation, but also all the open space in Albany, whether it's owned by the city, the school district, BART, or whoever, because even though we may not have control over that as a city, I do believe that we should be talking with, particularly with the school district, but also with BART for the property that's underneath the BART tracks, the Albany Greenway, as potential space for things like pickleball, for example, or ways that we might be able to, for this school district to be able to share some of their space. I know there's lots of issues around insurance and liability and maintenance, etc. But I think if we're going to look at a master plan to look at all this space in Albany, this would be the opportunity to kind of at least explore some of the bigger possibilities.
Thank you. Councilmember Nason?
Yeah, there's just a couple of issues that I wanted to touch on, and I very much support this. But as we move forward, that when we're doing our master planning, we are keeping in mind our maintenance obligations with respect to anything, all the new things that we develop, that we keep in mind. We need to align our ability to maintain facilities with what we have, what we're adding. And I wanted to touch on the Albany Waterfront Park, which it's a complex issue. I won't try to get into it, except to say that some hopes that many of us had some years not too long ago, that within 5 years we would be transferring maintenance responsibility for the Albany Waterfront Park to the East Bay Regional Park District. Those hopes have not materialized, and it's not really a reasonable expectation that they will materialize anytime in the very near future, because of the liabilities associated with the landfill and the concerns of regulators about it. So I think that we're going to need to take a careful look at a couple of different issues. One being the interim care for the waterfront park. What does Albany want, and what shall we do, and how shall we maintain this in the foreseeable future, as well as eventually, we have a study, but we don't have a plan for the bulb, and we should be thinking a little bit longer term as well. So I just wanted to touch on those two items in connection with this master planning work. Thank you.
Thank you. Did any other council member have a comment?
Yes, I do.
At this time, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I would certainly agree with everything that the other two council members mentioned. I would like to see a little bit more emphasis on equity in this proposal. I'm not exactly sure where it would fit, but I'm thinking just even one sentence saying something to the effect of ensuring our parks provide recreation opportunities for all members of our diverse community. I know this will be discussed, I'm sure this will be discussed with the applicants during the interview process, but I think it's important to highlight this so they understand that this is something that we value, and it's a focus of our city. So they even, as they're writing in their proposal, understand that this is important to our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other council member comments at this time, we do have some public speakers for this item. City Clerk, please let them in.
Hi, this is Julie Winkelstein. I just wanted to say that I agree with Peggy. I appreciate the point about equity, and I add that to what I was going to say, which is to emphasize that you don't want to have a hostile architecture as part of any of these plans. I don't know if you're familiar with hostile architecture, but it's architecture that tells certain people that they're not welcome in a city. Hostile architecture is things like spikes in windows. In parks, it would be benches with arms, benches that are sloped, benches that are metal so that they get cold in the winter and hot in the summer. Anyway, any kind of architecture, you see it all over San Francisco, but you also see it in parks, that is telling people who are experiencing homelessness that they aren't welcome, and that so they can't lie down, they can't sit down. It's amazing. If you look up hostile architecture, you'll see some that are just, there's one actually bench somewhere that was invented in Japan. This is all over the world, where you have to, it has spikes all over it, and you have to put money into a box to make the spikes go down and disappear so you can sit on the bench. So I would just encourage them. They may already be thinking about including hostile architecture. You'd be surprised how common it is. And so it would be part of the equity and a welcoming environment for everyone. So I appreciate Vice Mayor's comment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Thank you. This is Jeremiah. Speaking of hostile architecture, on Albany Hill, those rebars stick out of the wooden bench right there on that pathway, about 1/2 inch to 3/4, almost to 1 inch. And they're very, very sharp. I mean, we would really actually hate for someone to get injured on a public park bench. I have a positive suggestion for the bulb area that we open up a community gardens, some sort of drought tolerant garden, maybe a rock garden or some sort of beautiful thing to where the community can get involved and, maybe plant a plant or just rake some rocks. Something fun down there for the community to get involved. That way they feel like they have some sort of input in the bulb area. So it'd be nice if we had a little forest, to be created down there, some trees to add some fresh air, something like that. I know there's the burrowing owls and they're endangered, so we have to keep those in mind. I hope everybody didn't forget about that. That was a real big movement a few years back about the burrowing brown owls. So maybe we can have some trees that are edible. Maybe we can plant some rosemary down there, some sort of sage to honor Native American Indians, some sort of white sage to honor their land. That might be a good idea. So my suggestion is just a very nice public garden, because the only public garden we have in Albany that I know of is the one at Memorial Park behind the baseball field, and the Giltrack Farm. So I'm all for community gardens because it encourages a healthier community, and also it encourages kids to know about nature and plants. And we can also have a class, and we can work with the East Bay Regional Park, since we're paying them $300-some thousand every couple of years to manage down there anyway. Maybe we could work with the East Bay Regional Park District on some sort of 50-50 collaboration to make things really nice down there and just improve it, some sort of plan. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Hi, this is Brian Beal. First of all, I wanted to thank Pete for his comment about pickleball in the area under the BART tracks. Walk around town, I see that area is kind of, looks like it's kind of an area that's underutilized, and the parking places have been brought up before. I mean, there are people that live across the street, so we wouldn't want to do anything too noisy, but pickleball is a great sport. I participated in it 2 times. The thing about it is it does cause noise. So the BART track's already noisy. So that's what I liked about that idea. About the park or the waterfront, I just wanted to express gratitude for the fact that we have an undeveloped waterfront in Albany, with the exception, of course, of the racetrack. And that, now it's kind of an ironic time, because my mother was part of the Save the Bay movement back in the 70s that resulted in this. And at that time, it was projected that by 2020, which is this year, that there would be nothing left of the bay, that it would be completely filled in. And I wish we could go back to the way it is, but I appreciate the fact that there are a lot of issues to work out there with different people's usage. I hope, I guess this means it's going to be more of a bigger topic in Albany, because we're going to continue to manage it. So, okay, that's what I had to say.
Thank you for your comments. And that's the last public speaker. I'll bring it back to the council. I also want to thank the Vice Mayor for comments about equity. Absolutely, we should make sure equity is included. Very, very, very important. And any further comments from council members? And
I'll move the consent calendar.
thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by the Vice Mayor, second by Councilmember Moss, to move the consent calendar. City Clerk, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Barnes,
Yes.
Councilmember Moss,
Yes.
Councilmember Nason,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McQuay,
Yes.
Mayor Pilch.
Yes,
Motion carries.
wonderful. Thank you for that. We'll move on to the good of city public comment. This is the time on the agenda that members of the public can speak to any item that is not on tonight's agenda. It looks like we do have a few speakers who would like to speak tonight, and please, City Clerk, if you would let them in.
Hi, this is Margie Marks. I wanted to recognize Jeremiah and Janelle, who took it upon themselves to keep our community safe. The post office was not social distancing, so they got up at the butt crack of dawn on Sunday and posted blue tape on the ground 6 feet apart. The shower program was such a small service that made a big difference. The shower rooms at the pool will not be open anytime soon. There are shower trucks that are being used now. We could make a difference. Dog would propose having the truck on Jacuzzi Street at the city yard. Dog has always provided the volunteers and necessary items. We would ask the city to provide the approval and the space to bring the truck there once a week to do showers. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Hi, good evening. This is Jeremiah. I hope the new treasurer is not as frugal and will actually approve buying Albany a portable shower for the homeless. You know, there's homeless that sit on park benches on Solano, homeless that walk up and down, and they haven't showered for months. I asked one how the last time they took a shower, and you don't want to know their answer. It's years. And this is very sad. You know, this pandemic will never end until there's public showers, you know, especially in Albany. I mean, we have porta potties in front of the senior center. We have all these porta potties on canes, but still no porta shower. And they're the same size, the same thing, just the inside's different. Instead of a toilet, it's a hot water shower. It's right there on allsafety.net, portable heated shower. You could see for yourself. Go on Google, allsafety.net, portable heated shower. I think it's $1,200, but if you see right there, you can make payments for as low as $39 a month. So I'm sure the city has good credit, and I'm sure we could afford $39 a month to get Albany a shower. Yeah, I got to admit, I did lay down some blue tape at the post office. No line on the ADA ramp. I went there on Saturday, and there were over 27 people inside. And the only lady indoor working, she said there's a 10-person maximum. And I was there today, this morning, and so many people outdoors were thanking me, saying, we actually enjoy the outdoors. We don't like to wait inside. And we enjoy the sunshine. It's actually healthier. And so it's just really important. You know, there's the professor, he makes the sculptures. Where does he shower? There's a guy at the Albany Library. Where does he shower? You know, where do I take a shower? Right? You know, I just feel like the city just sits around and does nothing. I just hope that we can make some positive changes this next year. And I'm just saying that I haven't given up on the homeless taking showers. It's really important. I know Berkeley has a shower program. Richmond has shower programs. San Francisco, San Jose. I mean, all these cities have shower programs, portable showers, and they could afford it. So why not Albany? I mean, food is easy to get. I get 100 meals every day, and that's easy. So I just want to use our connections. You know, Rachel Nason, if you guys are friends on Facebook with Danny Barth, you know, you have the connections. You know, just you got to use those connections and network. So please attempt to bring showers to Albany. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Hi, this is Brian Beal. I wanted to talk about the election, actually, now that we have results, have had results for a while. It's great that Joe Biden was elected President of the United States, along with our Kamala Harris. And then there's, well, it turns out there's a chain of events up in Sacramento that there's going to be 3 appointments but also locally. Specifically, I want to talk about my friend Janelle Gary, who is an Emerge graduate, an Emerge California graduate. This is an organization I've supported for a number of years through my sister and my niece are graduates, specifically oriented around helping women get elected. And one of the reasons I'm involved with it is because when women get elected, men benefit too, because there's a more balanced view at the decision-making table. So it was exciting to see Janelle, an Emerge graduate, Afro-American female, get elected to the council. But also, I think it's got a lot of energy and a lot of focus on the issues that really matter to Albany. And in terms of the other council candidates, looking at this from the perspective of somebody who is thinking about running for election, Preston, just been involved for a long, long time. And, deep, long-term commitment to the community is kind of one of the things that I think that's what earned him the top point. For myself, I ran for school board, was not victorious. But that said, it was probably one of the most transformational and rewarding experiences of my life. There's nothing, I think, that gives me more joy than walking down the street, and it happens every day that I walk down the street, and someone comes up and says, "Hey, I voted for you," and I got 2,500 people to vote for me. So that's something, in order to get there, I had to kind of change the way I thought about people and people of different perspectives and viewpoints. And, I've been involved in the political process before, but now, having had experience in there, I think we do have a good new additions to the school board with Veronica and Melissa. Veronica has deep social connections in the community. And Melissa, I believe that her experience as an attorney is going to help to keep the school district out of trouble. And she'll be able to see things, kind of from a clerical viewpoint. Thank you very much. I'm out of time.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Hi, this is Julie Winkelstein. I have several things I'm going to try to cover in my 3 minutes. First, I would like to request that the Pledge of Allegiance be put on a future agenda item again to discuss whether it's really appropriate to be saying the Pledge of Allegiance in a country that it has so much inequality right now, and has for a long time. Second, I wanted to say that I support the shower program that Margie Marks described. Third, I wanted to request again that there be a communications task force or commission or committee that's made up of community members, so that who are committed to making sure that the members of the community know what's going on in the city, because I think it's just too much for the city staff. Next item is the benefits booklet that's on your website is completely gendered, and I would like to request that somebody go through it and change all of the he, she's to gender neutral pronouns, so that everyone feels included when they look at the booklet and they're represented by the booklet. I also want to request that when an agenda on an agenda, when there's an item and it says that staff recommends, that it be clear who the staff person is, either by name or just by their position, so the public knows who's making that recommendation. I know that it's probably on the independent attachments, but I don't think everybody reads those attachments. I'd also like to request that the next mayor of Albany be from one of the 3 newly elected members and not someone who has already been mayor. I think we need to take advantage of having brand new council members with their own visions, ideas, and leadership skills. And so I'd really like to see that happen. And then finally, I did really well. I got everything squeezed in, I think. Finally, I suggested this a while ago to the city works or whatever, but I just wanted to bring it up at a city council meeting, that I don't know if anyone has looked into making sidewalks out of recycled tires rather than concrete. I know there are cities across the United States that use recycled tires. It not only is more environmentally sound, it's also softer. And so if somebody falls, that's not why they do it. They do it because of the tree roots and things that force cement up and it cracks. It doesn't happen with the recycled tires, but having tripped and fallen on a city sidewalk because of the uneven surface and broken my elbow earlier this year, I think that they also are softer and probably be better for pedestrians. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Breaker, am I live here? Can you hear me?
You are audible.
Excellent, thank you. Vice Mayor McQuaid, excellent words at the beginning of the meeting, and Kim Denton, we all love you. Hello, thank you for your time. I'm Alan Kane, and I'm not representing my employer or any entity that I volunteer with. On November 16th, a city council member deployed a full-scale coordinated legal attack on another council member in an effort to, well, one can only speculate why. You would think that during a pandemic, when businesses are suffering and the middle class is suppressed by unemployment, people are dying and ill, that the city leadership would be focused on the needs of the community at large. Apparently, that would be too much to ask, because one of you invested a significant amount of time, probably not alone, attempting to point the finger at an individual who pointed the finger. So while Alameda County was experiencing record COVID cases, one of you took advantage of that time to advance your own cause and distract an entire city with an ill-timed political maneuver. Sadness. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And that does it for public comment for good of the city. We will close that item and we'll find my agenda. There it is. And we'll come to council subcommittee reports, council member reports on appointed representation and other meetings. Did any subcommittee meet prior to this meeting? Vice Mayor, you have your hand up.
I do, thank you. Alta Bates Regional Task Force met, which is at this point considered one of our subcommittees. So I think it's appropriate to report on it at this point. We met on November 18th. It turned out it was the largest group that we've had in quite a while. We had representatives there from Keith Carson, Nancy Skinner, and Buffy Wick's offices, as well as other local officials and community members and hospital union members. Mayor Arreguín and Vice Mayor Hahn from Berkeley have met with David Clark, who is the current CEO of Alta Bates Summit, to initiate a conversation with him, hoping to find out what their plans are and express our interest in their remaining as a full service hospital in Berkeley. We're hoping these conversations will continue and will expand. The main focus of the 2021 work plan includes increasing visibility to the issue, including building coalitions, emphasizing the issue of healthcare as an equity issue. And our next meeting will be January 20th. The other subcommittee is youth engagement. And I kind of had an email exchange with Sebastian from the Albany Y Youth and Government, which I unfortunately, Pete, I forgot to loop you in. But nothing's happening. We haven't missed anything. But we will continue in the new year to try to figure out how we can better work together with them on a local government module. That's it for me for right now.
Okay, thank you for that report, and thank you for attending the Alta Bates Task Force. I had a conflict with another regional meeting, was unable to attend. Anyone else have a subcommittee report? If not, how about reports on meetings attended as an appointed representative of Albany? Vice Mayor?
Thank you. I did attend the ACTC, Alameda County Transportation, the Pension Board. We have begun the Everyone Home Strategic Plan, of which will be 4 meetings over the next 2 months. I'm sorry, it's a strategic retreat. So we're working on that. I attended our normal Alameda County Housing Authority meeting And also they have an event called Your Time to Shine. And it, unfortunately, this year had to be virtual, but it's a time to highlight the success of the people in their family self-sufficiency program. And this is the first time I've been able to go, but it was so heartening to see these people. It's a 5-year program where they learn about financial management and how to purchase a home and job training. And there were people there that were, celebrating the purchase of a home. So, it was a very, very moving celebration. I was glad I got to attend. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other council members go to appointed representation? If not, I have some brief reports here. Okay. East Bay Community Energy, I attended the meeting, and as was reported to you, I think by the city manager, we voted to maintain the Brilliant 100, which is our default product, at cost parity with PG&E throughout 2021, but close it at the beginning of 2022. So we have more time to work on what we want to do as a transition. We also discussed the Aramis solar project, which is going to be a solar project on the ground in Livermore, on private land in Livermore, and that's a bit controversial. But the EBC is in supporting it. They are buying into. This is very wonky. Most of the electricity is actually going to San Francisco, but we are buying resource adequacy, which means that the PUC requires that the EBC have contracts with electricity providers in case we really need electricity. So this will be one of our resource adequacy providers, and stay tuned. And the county supports that project, but there are a number of dissenters there. And Peggy will attend the next meeting, which will be occurring in, or Vice Mayor will attend the next meeting, which will be occurring in December after I'm out of office. But she is the alternate. I attended the Alameda County Mayor's Conference where Carrie Abbott, who's the Director of Homeless Care and Coordination of the Alameda County Health Services Agency, spoke and gave a nice presentation. And at the next meeting, coming up this week, I believe, we will have Dr. Nicholas Moss, who succeeded Dr. Erica Pond as Alameda County's health officer. So he will be speaking, and anyone can come to the mayor's conference, any council member, and there's no fee to the city for that at this time because no one is feeding anyone any meals. So if you're interested in hearing from Dr. Moss, you might want to consider attending that. Finally, the waste management, I attended a waste management board meeting, and we'll be voting on the representative for the next meeting because I won't be able to attend that, being out of office as well, although I will attend the subcommittee meeting, which is this week, Wednesday or Thursday. That will be my last meeting with them. Finally, the Alameda County Transportation Commission, I also attended my last meeting there, which was mostly a recognition for the outgoing board members, most notable of which was Supervisor Haggerty, who's retiring from District 1, and the mayor of Dublin will become the new supervisor for District 1. And I'm spacing out on his name. David Halbert will become the new supervisor. And we did agree to funding for the Quarry Lakes Parkway project, which is mostly in Union City, partly in Fremont. A bit of controversy there, but there was good negotiation at that meeting to make sure that project turns out to be one that is a complete road project, if you will, and that considers transit and bicycle and pedestrians as much as possible. And that's my meeting report. Any other reports or questions of other meetings attended? Yes, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. We continue having our weekly business calls with the Chamber and the Solano Avenue Association, and along with city staff. I did attend the United Against Hate event, which was, I guess, last week, actually. And I do want to thank staff for all of the work they did in putting it on our website and into the e-news. And I know I didn't give you as much lead time as we all would like to get. And so I really appreciate the effort to get it all done. And I also finished the National League of Cities Summit, which was quite interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that publicity as well. Okay, I'm not seeing any further comments by council members. Let me move to the next agenda item then. Having a little problem with navigation tonight, bear with me. And our next agenda item is the city council, city manager report. City manager, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Organized here. Yes, as mentioned earlier at the meeting, we have our shelter-in-place orders from County Public Health. Our city play structures and park restrooms have been closed in accordance with that health order. We'll continue to work closely with the County Public Health as any additional measures that may be directed. Please note, we'll have a special meeting of the City Council next Monday, December 14th at 7:30 for certification of the election results, oath of office ceremony, and for our newly elected City Council members to take that oath of office, and a reorganization of the City Council. Also, city staff will be participating in the second of 3 work sessions on racial equity and inclusivity, as led by our consultants, Nicole Anderson and Associates, starting tomorrow. Also, a reminder to apply for service on an advisory body to the City Council. The first deadline is December 14th, as the City Council will begin reviewing applications on December 15th. You can find out all the information on our website for the available advisory bodies. Also, applications are being accepted for the Community Task Force on Policing, recently established by the City Council, with an initial submittal deadline of January 7th. San Pablo Avenue Specific Plan Virtual Open House is now live. Please join us to participate in that virtual open house and provide comments on the planning efforts to envision what San Pablo Avenue should look like. It will be active until December 31st of this year. And again, the website is sanpablospecificplan.org. From Public Works, we have a sidewalk survey underway. The contractor will be completing the field work for a comprehensive survey of the city's sidewalks. The survey is intended to identify defects such as offsets, cracking, and slope and width issues. The final survey is expected to be completed in February. And the survey will be used to help identify and prioritize sidewalks for repair in the city's sidewalk repair program. Paving projects. This week, December 10th, the city will issue notices to proceed on the Adams and Washington Avenue pavement projects. The Adams project, which includes paving the block of Adams between Buchanan and Solano and replacing associated non-compliant curb ramps, is expected to be completed by the end of January. The Washington project, which includes repaving Washington between San Pablo to Cornell and Masonic to Pomona, replacing non-compliant curb ramps, a stormwater bioswale, is expected to be complete in April. Also, as mentioned in Friday's e-news, East Bay Mud will be performing night work on the water pipeline at Posen and Ventura on this Wednesday. Construction and the water shutoff should run about 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Please sign up for Cities e-news and also check out Public Works Construction Alerts page on our website to keep in the loop about updates like these. The Albany Fire Department assisted in coordinating a flu vaccination clinic on November 30th at the YMCA. Thank you to all that were involved in that important event, especially the YMCA, city staff, and Alameda County Public Health. I'm trying to breeze through these given the hour. Also with Anne, if you can share the image of the workshop, we will have a Albany Rent Review Program workshop presented by Echo Housing on Thursday, January 21st at 6 p.m. A live Zoom webinar training for City of Albany tenants and property owners. This webinar will provide information on the city's rent review program and the Tenant Relief Act of 2020 and the Tenant Protections Act of 2019. And special treat that's going out with our Meals on Wheels program. This Friday's Albany Meals on Wheels program will be distributing care packages as part of the meals, filled with a scarf, socks, mask, hand sanitizer, book of word games. These have been kindly donated by Alameda County for the Meals on Wheels program. Our meal service and other high intensity services to those in need are ongoing. We're at about 12,000 meals now. And again, the hotline number is 510-524-9122 for any type of services that may be needed during the pandemic. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. I appreciate the details about what's going on in the city. Thank you very much. All right. Any questions from council members? If not, we'll move on to agenda items 12, skipping over 9, 10, and 11, of which there are none. Item 12 is new business. Item 12.1 is the temporary appointment to the Alameda County Waste Management Authority. Recommendation that the council appoint a council member, and that would be either the vice mayor or Councilmember Nason, since the three of us would not be able to participate. Go ahead, Councilmember Nason.
I would be pleased to do this if that is satisfactory to the vice mayor.
I was going to suggest that you do it, so that's perfect.
Thank you.
That makes sense. You were the last representative there, so great. Thank you for stepping up. Okay, and any further remarks on that item? Let's see. Do we have to
roll call vote so we can have included in the minutes to forward to?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. So let's see. Do we have a? Does someone just want to make a motion then?
Before I do that, would you like? Is there any public comment?
Oh, thank you very much for that. Let's see if there's public comment. Not seeing any raised hands. So, thank you. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Okay, then I move that we appoint Councilmember Nason to serve as a temporary representative at the next Alameda County Waste Management Authority Board meeting.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Go ahead and do the roll call. Vote, please.
Councilmember Barnes?
Yes.
Councilmember Moss?
Yes.
Councilmember Nason?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McQuay?
Yes.
Mayor Pilch?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, and item 12.2 is amendment number 2 to the employee agreement for city manager services. Staff recommendation is that the council adopt the resolution approving amendment 2 to employee agreement for city manager services. And do we have any comments from the council or questions? No questions from the council. Then do we have public comment? We do. City clerk, please let them in.
Hi, good evening. This is Jeremiah. I tried to click on the links. I just can't find anything where it says, you know, the salary, what the manager is supposed to be getting paid 2020, 2021, 2022. It just seems like it was from 2018, 2017 to the current time. I just have a few questions about the city manager's job and maybe some transparency to the public. Like, what are the city manager's business hours? Does a city manager work on the weekends? Is, you know, anything over 8 hours time and a half, or is weekends time and a half? I guess it's salary. So I'm just not sure how many hours a day this person works. You know, it is a lot of money. I see that the city manager, the police chief, and the fire chief make pretty much around the same, if the city manager possibly doesn't make any more. It's the highest paid employee in the city. I understand the city manager is a very important job. I kind of wish like the city manager would give a little bit more life into the report, and kind of instead of sounding so monotone all the time. But maybe that's just how their personality is. So maybe we're lucky anyway. I think Berkeley city manager gets paid $300,000 or $400,000. I don't know if there's a vice city manager or somebody, but I think if the city manager was, you know, under review for, you know, quality of work, I would request that to not be in a closed session meeting. I think that should be available to the public to make a public comment whenever the city manager is up for review. I know I snuck in there one time when the old city manager was there in a closed session. I think I just opened the doors myself in the city hall, just kind of made myself in there in a closed session meeting. But I did have my public comment, and I remember saying that the old city manager was doing a great job. So yeah, I just wish the city manager was a little bit more visible in the community. I don't know if I've ever seen her walking around up and down Solano. Maybe a meet and greet would be nice, whether it's on Zoom or in person when this pandemic ends. Who knows when it'll ever end. But yeah, just little checks and balances, just on the salary, on the wage. It's in such a high tax bracket.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Hi, this is Julie Winkelstein. I submitted, or my husband and I submitted an email about this, but I wanted to put it on public record too. We have a few questions and comments regarding this item. According to, I actually reached out to the HR person at the city because I didn't really understand. I mean, I looked at all the reports and booklets and stuff, and I still had some questions. So she very kindly answered a bunch of my questions. But it looks like right now the city manager has 100 hours of administrative leave annually, which she can't carry over. And this amendment would add 80 hours to that. So she would have 180 hours of administrative leave every year that she has to use during the year. And this is paid leave in addition to her 3 weeks of vacation, which if she were to take all of this time off, she'd basically be gone from the city, being paid to be gone for about 2 months. And her salary of $207,000 a year is what the figure I found, and that doesn't include benefits. So some of my questions are, does this amendment apply only to this particular city manager, or will it go on for future city managers? I wanted to know what prompted this additional administrative leave. And when it says staff recommends, does it mean the city attorney? And if not, who is recommending it? I'm also my comment and suggestion is that during a worsening pandemic, I think that this amount of time away doesn't seem like it would serve our community well. If she chooses to cash in, I don't think that fits in with the frugal approach that Kim Denton was suggesting, especially when there's so much need in our community and will continue to be need and even more need. I think it's not a good use of our money. So either way, she should either be here, if she's going to be paid that much, or she should not should not be have almost doubled her administrative leave. And I know it looks to me like it's because she doesn't get overtime, and so this is kind of a way of getting around the fact that she doesn't get overtime. I also request that this amendment just be deferred to the new city council since they'll be sworn in next week. It seems kind of questionable to me as to why this is coming up now, and it makes me wonder if there's a question about whether they would pass it, or maybe there's some other reason. I don't know. All I could do was get what I gathered on the website. And I had one more question, which is that according to the website, she gets a vehicle allowance of $200 a month. And I'm wondering if she's working at home now, is she still getting that allowance? Thank you. And Nicole, this says nothing is not meant personally. I'm just concerned about the city. I just want you to know that. And I'm speaking for myself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that's the last public speaker on the item. And I had some correspondence with the city manager and the city attorney, so I think I can attempt to answer some of these questions. But first, I want to ask the city attorney a clarification. I don't believe this leave can be cashed in. It's either used or it is lost at the end of the calendar year. Could the city attorney comment on that?
I might actually defer if the city manager knows for sure. I know it's treated like the other leave in the benefits policy, so it would be no different than the existing leave that the city manager and other staff members get.
Oh, okay. All right. So thank you for that. And apologize, I did not see that there was one last hand raised. So let's go back to public comment. And if you'd let the member of the public comment, please.
Hi, yes, this is Jennifer Hansen Romero, and I just want to say one specific shout out for Nicole, our city manager, is that I applaud you for always being there to respond to anything that I've had concerns with. I can send an email on a Friday evening and, I'll wake up to a response Saturday morning. Nicole has been monitoring her emails and has been supportive in many, many ways. And I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate everything that you've done for us in our community.
Thank you for your comments. And we'll bring it back to council, and I'll second those comments as well about responsiveness. So let me go ahead and try to give some answers, and if I flub up, the city manager, city attorney can correct me. As far as the salary, that is all that it has to be and is public information, and has been the subject of other council meetings and is out there on the website. As far as business hours and as far as working on the weekend, from what I know, the city manager, is basically a 24/7 job, and like many of the her department heads, is expected to work evenings like this and weekends as necessary. So it is an exempt position. It is not an hourly position, so it's a salaried position. I know certainly, going back on the responsiveness, that I certainly. And she's very responsive to us council members as well, or I can speak for myself anyway, but I bet the other council members would agree. And then to some of the other specific questions, this is a routine procedure where we do a review. We have a closed session for the review. This closed session happened to take two closed sessions because we had a longer discussion than anticipated, and it would have been on the previous meeting's agenda, but because we had the two sessions, it was deferred to this agenda. And it's appropriate that since this council did the review, that this council be the one to sign off on the agreement, to vote on the agreement. I can't speak for the city manager. Well, let me just say this. From what I understand as well as about salaries, the city manager is slightly below comparable salaries for the surrounding communities. And this might be one reason why leave was requested, and the money might seem like a lot, but believe me, it is less than comparable for cities in this geographic area. In this case, staff recommends. The city attorney is author, therefore the city attorney might be called to staff at this point, but the wording of staff recommends is a formality in the template resolutions or the resolutions for items, and can represent one or more staff members, as I understand it. And this is an individual contract for the current city manager. It will not apply to future city managers unless they, for some reason, took the exact same contract and copied and pasted it. And I think that's all the answers to the questions that I heard. And did the city manager or city attorney have any corrections to anything I said?
No, it sounded accurate. I did want to clarify. I did find out that if it is unused, it can be cashed out, the additional administrative leave or the administrative leave in general.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I will also note that during this time of the pandemic, as far as I know, the city manager has not taken any leave. And this might also be a way of providing for future leave when times get better. So those are my comments. Any comments from council members, other council members? Vice Mayor?
I don't have a lot to say. I just, I think one of the nice things about administrative hours is you can take them, in small increments, like you could take 2 or 3 hours off. Whereas, you're not burning I think a vacation is like a couple of days. This can be very small. And Mr. Mayor, I think you made a really good point that all of our, I should probably coach that a little bit. Many of our staff are underpaid compared to other similar sized cities in the area. This doesn't really solve that problem, but it certainly is a step. And I think we just ought to do this. I mean, we did agree to this, and I think that it's our responsibility to finish the process, as you also indicated.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other council member? Councilmember Nason.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment about the staff recommends issue, that the staff does not, the various members of the staff do not report to the council. They report to the city manager. When we get something that says it's a staff recommendation, that means that the city manager has endorsed that and taken responsibility for it. And it's always the toughest thing to do, is taking responsibility for the work of other people. And that's why she's our best paid employee, because she takes on the responsibility of the entire staff. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other council member? Councilmember Moss.
Yeah, I think this is completely appropriate, and I think it's also appropriate that we do this tonight, since we're the ones that did the review. The incoming council members have not done the review, and I don't think there's a necessity for them to redo that. And given salary parity with some of our surrounding cities, and how many hours somebody in our city manager's position actually have to do in order to keep the city functioning, I think it's very appropriate. I'm more than willing to move that we adopt Resolution 2020-119, approving Amendment number 2 to the employment agreement for city manager services.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk, if you'd call the roll, please.
Councilmember Barnes,
Yes.
Councilmember Moss,
Yes.
Councilmember Nason,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McQuaid,
Yes.
Mayor Pilch,
Yes,
and the motion carries.
thank you. Next item on our agenda is item 13. This is an item for consideration of future agenda items. We don't normally take public comment on this item. I do see one hand up, but this is for members of the council to suggest future agenda items. Does anyone have a future agenda item at this point? We don't normally take public comment on this, but if the public member of the public who has his hand up wishes to suggest an item briefly, we can allow that. Would you let the member of the public in, please?
Hi, thank you. Hey, city attorney, I believe due to the Brown Act, members of the public have a right to make public comment on every single agenda item. That's number 1 through 14, if it be. So due to the Brown Act, I'm allowed to make a public comment on every single agenda item. And this is agenda item number 13. So with the new city council coming in, I'm sure they will open a future agenda item to the public every single time. Future agenda item would be a shower, a portable shower, a temporary shower, an emergency shower, homeless shower, whatever you want to call it. There's got to be some way to take a shower in Albany. Future agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, Councilmember Moss.
Yeah, I'd like to propose a future agenda item for the council, the future council. And that is, yes, it may be because of the Brown Act, we should be allowing the public to speak. But it is up to, I think there should be discussion about how long some of these speeches are, because we've had a fairly short meeting tonight and it's about 10 o'clock. 2 minutes might be fine in terms of going forward for public speaking on, particularly on items like this. I would hope that the council at least consider that in the future.
Thank you very much for that. The council does, or the mayor does have that discretion. Also, just a correction, city attorney, I believe the Brown Act requires that the public be able to speak on any item on the agenda. However, the format is not necessarily specified. And I mean, we could potentially ask that the public speak on all the items at once rather than go item by item. Is that your understanding as well?
I haven't ever seen that, to be honest, Mayor Pilch. And if you did do something like that, then you might need to couple the time. So if we were at 2 minutes or 3 minutes, then you could see it could be a long soliloquy if you were to add up all of the items.
Right. So there's logistical considerations there. We do have one more member of the public. City Clerk, if you'd let that member in, please.
Hi, Jennifer Hansen Romero. Thank you for your time tonight. Just wanted to say, I do know that from other cities, meetings that I've seen, is that sometimes they will take into account how many speakers want to speak and therefore limit the times accordingly so that they can kind of keep the sessions more constrained and easier for many of the public members to follow, so that people aren't falling asleep at night and can't get to those items that they want to get to. Also, And I don't know if this is allowed in city meetings or not, but just a suggestion is it would be really helpful if it's legal to do so, is to have an open public comment session and then also close with a public comment session, perhaps, if that's possible. That way, because sometimes members of the public who are aware of certain items who are ready to speak at the beginning and did not realize that there are other items that they also wished to speak upon could also be addressed at the end, perhaps. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that, for the suggestion of future agenda items. Yep, all good comments for the future council to consider. I didn't want to, personally, I didn't want to limit comment too much on this, which is this council's last full meeting. Congratulations, by the way. That is one reason why I didn't pay too much attention to that. Any last remarks on future agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move into announcements of city meetings and events. Those are on the website. We've got the Planning and Zoning Special City Council meeting coming up, Climate Action Committee, and probably the last meeting of the year, which will be the City Council meeting of the new council on the 21st. That is the end of our substantive agenda items. We will see you for a special meeting on the 14th. We'll start it and then we get kicked out to be just, we don't get to be visible squares anymore. We'll get kicked out to where the rest of the people are and be humble about it. So thank you everyone for all this time on the council together, and we'll see you in a week for that special meeting. Take care and stay safe.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Night.